Mama
how are
busy
you?
in the house.
I'm very well, thank you.
Nice dress.
Thank you.
You look beautiful.
Don't say more than what you have said, otherwise.
Otherwise, what?
Cash.
One day we will pay for your dress cash.
Never paid for the hair, never paid for the dress.
So should we just stop paying you compliments?
Yeah, you can, if you can help it.
So you see, what she's saying is that she doesn't care. She doesn't
This
care.
one is a harassment.
This is sexual harassment. I don't like the way you're looking at me right now. You know? See?
These
Ideas.
people cry.
Is there something going on that I don't know
Get a
about?
get a room. Get a room.
Anyway.
Why are you making some of us? Some
A
of
lot
us.
of people are watching,
Yeah.
Some of us
man.
Yeah.
is Sijafo feel
As for
bad
the
like
two
that.
of
You know,
you,
yesterday I
want to get
was-
you
I was-
for sexual harassment.
You know,
Hey.
yesterday I was speaking to Sally for combat of Boko.
Hello,
Sally
Sally
Fu-
for combat. I've missed you.
Good morning, we have missed you.
You know, that's a way of saying.
And
good
Alhaji
morning
Asembe
to it.
of Kumasi.
You've added.
What do you say? Alhaji
Oh
Asembe
my
of
God.
Kumasi. Good
Roland,
morning
let's
to
do
you
the
as well.
newspapers. Why? Let's do the
What
newspapers.
do you think? Newspapers, yes.
You know Alhaji Asembe.
No. I'll tell you what.
Maybe you should also give some shout out to
Yes,
Cape Coasters watching right now.
Actually, in addition to
No,
all the
Only
wonderful
Cape
people
Coast.
in Cape
Only
Coast,
Cape Coast.
can I say good morning to Amelie van der Poel?
Hey.
Of California.
No, Amelie van der Poel is she works for the local government services.
Could you?
As in
When
Ghana.
you start mentioning
No, yeah,
women's
yeah, in Ghana,
names,
yeah.
We thought you were
and,
going to America.
how old is she? Is she your age?
Roland,
younger?
Roland. This is sexual harassment. You know the comments.
I withdraw the comment.
Thank you.
I apologize.
Amelie van der Poel used to read the news. So
Okay.
she's a member of the fraternity. She works in the public relations department at local government services.
Nice.
That's
She's a
why
big
I'm worried.
fan of the show.
All right.
So she's watching
Amelie.
right now, and she does not appreciate your
My comment.
harassment.
My harassment.
Yeah. Good morning, Amelie. Thank you very much for tuning in.
Roland,
Tell
nothing.
everybody in the office to tune
Roland,
in.
nothing.
And
Good morning,
Say nothing.
it is safer. All right, I have the Ghanaian Times, the Daily Statesman, and the Daily Guide today.
I guess it will forever be the Daily Graphic and the Finder
The
newspaper.
PDS.
So,
The Finder.
which one's the PDS? What? There's
The
a
Finder.
newspaper called the
They are known
PDS?
for publishing PDS. Today there's no PDS.
Roland,
Finder.
pass him.
He had. Who has not published PDS today?
I have the custodian and then the dispatch.
All right, so shall I get started?
Yes, please.
All right, so Ghanaian Times first, and banner headline this morning. President cuts sword for work to begin. This is regarding the construction of a $135 million three-tier Obechebi Lamte interchange. And there's been some discussion on social media about the cost of this. Someone is comparing it to the cost of the Circle interchange and finding or suggesting that this interchange is cheaper than the Circle
Is it
interchange.
the same plan?
No, it clearly isn't.
So granted
Completely different.
that a government, a president has a 4-year tenure, this is what, the third year?
Yes.
And this is, how long is this project going to be for?
I wonder.
Okay. I was
Details
just thinking
are
about
within
it,
the Ghanaian Times. We'll check that and share it in a moment when I
You remember
finish the
Mr.
headlines.
Tobu's writings on my Joy Online? One of the
This
key
one
things.
was published yesterday, I think. At
Yeah,
9:00.
exactly. How governments don't do things within their tenure, so it goes beyond. It goes beyond you, but it must be within. And if it's 4 years, it's got to be within. So that he talks about former President Mahama and how after he left, the things that he started were finished after he left. You get it? And then he was punished for it.
Punished in what way? You see, that's the
as in was
thing.
voted
That's the
out.
thing. You know, that's the thing. We first of all, that mentality we all have that, look, if somebody constructs roads
So
or
you've got to
builds
vote for
hospitals, then they've earned your vote. Well, they haven't. They use your money to do it, and you are entitled to it anyway. So they simply did their job. And that, I mean, I don't understand why that means that, you know, they've won your vote. You know, so if one person is doing it and they stop halfway, the other person comes and has an obligation to finish it.
But you know,
and if they don't,
in our
for
settings,
any
we
reason,
give credit to the person who finished it.
why are we even
the
giving
person
credit?
who
If
started
we are
it.
going to give credit to anyone, we should give it to those who
ourselves
pay the
because it's
tax.
our money.
Yeah, those who pay the tax for the project to be done. You know, the thing that is of interest to me is the fact that sometimes another government will come along and find a reason not to continue the previous project. And what we have to start doing is interrogating those things. So a new government comes and says, okay, now I'm going to rebrand or restructure these contracts, or I'm going to do value for money audit. These things are important, they are good, but they should not result in the waste of money or the abandonment of projects. But governments have the responsibility to do these things, and when they come along and stop previous projects just to spite each other, we are the ultimate losers. But anyway, I was doing these headlines, wasn't I? Back to the Ghanaian Times front page. And Jospong secures €20 million facility for project.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Congratulations to Jospong group of companies. But I'm interested in what projects they'll be doing.
This is for the recycling plants.
Okay.
Like the one they have, IRECOP, at least for each of the regions. If we have 2 or 3 of them, that would be very commendable.
Interesting. Yeah. We do need a much bigger effort when it comes to waste management. So let's see how the 20 million euros are used. But of course, Jospong is a private company, right? So this is a facility that they've secured on their own balance sheets or whatever. So, well, it's their business. But let's see if the waste management efforts that they put this money to ends up benefiting society. Fire raises down 70 shops in Kumasi. WHO and UNICEF monitor polio vaccination exercise in UER, Upper East Region. That's also on the back page of the Ghanaian Times. Let me do the Statesman real quick. I have it here. Let's look at the front page this morning. We need focused leadership. Akufo-Addo calls for political will to transform West Africa. $135 million Obechebi-Lamte interchange project takes off. NPP to elect 2020 presidential candidate on April 25, 2020. And yeah, that's it for the Daily Statesman. Let's have a quick look at the Daily Guide. That's the last one from me this morning. And banner headline, check this out: NPP beats NDC in $135 million Obechebi flyover.
That's the headline of the day.
Yes.
But I think we haven't finished the project. And
Me, it just annoys me that these people are battling each other with our money.
No, but seriously, I did remember during the electioneering, the president, Mahama at the time, also announcing this, as well as the Pokwase interchange and a number of them. So it's like it's a blueprint.
It's annoying, yeah. And honestly, these political parties need to.
You know what will solve all this is that the two of them come together. They agree on a national plan for the long term. It helps everybody.
You see,
so that
why? Let me put it
because
this
so far we're working with.
Let me put it. It's unfortunate that we have a system where it is the two political parties who need our votes that must come together in order to decide on a long-term plan for the nation of Ghana.
Because so far they haven't worked together.
The point is, why is it up to the parties? Okay, they are competing parties that want the mandate to be government, right? But Ghana is Ghana. 30 years from now, this party will have different personalities fronting them. But it is these personalities and their reluctance to, like you say, work together, which has kept the whole country at ransom when it comes to us having a plan. You get it? That's the point I'm making, that we are at the mercy of political parties when it comes to something as fundamental as our future plan as a nation. You know, it's unfortunate. I don't really know what the solution is, to be honest, but it does bother me that we have no choice but to hope and pray that the political parties will somehow decide that it is worth working together.
I think it's just because of the way the political parties have played it. That's why you're not confident and you're saying that it's unfortunate. But if we had very strong institutions, we have the National Planning Commission, for instance.
Development Planning
Commission. Exactly. If we had strong institutions and people would do things for the states and not for themselves, like, we will not be talking about this. Like, everybody would come and follow the blueprints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One day, right? Okay, also on the Daily Guide front page, Jospong Group secures 20 million euro for projects. Court throws out Auditor General, and this is regarding the Sylvester Mensah and NHIA story. NDC trained thugs at Isuchari, and this is an interesting story in the Daily Guide. They are sort of doing a flashback, if you like, to a story that was done by the Finder newspaper back in 2014, when they discovered a group of people being trained, and those people, according to the Finder newspaper, claimed that they were a group of NDC foot soldiers recruited by former National Security Advisor Larry Gbevlo Latte in 2009, when President Atta Mills took office. This is a story that the Daily Guide is bringing back. Why, though? Why?
Equalization.
Okay. Let's look at the back page. And this morning, Everest Super Kings cruise to cricket tourney finals. And by the way, if that happened, should somebody not be questioned about it? You know, if state assets were used to train
that is if there were
unqualified people. Yeah, that's why I'm using the if there. So yeah, if it happened, should somebody not be questioned about it?
Definitely.
Okay. Man U fans call for Woodward's head. Mourinho extols Van Dijk, and VAR begs for Spurs Watford error. Ihado. All right then.
You're done?
I'm done.
All right, let's continue with the Daily Graphic newspaper. Front page of the graphic. Obeche Bilamte interchange will result in free movement, President says, at sword cutting. So there's an insert of the interchange here, expression of the projects on the front page of the paper. PDS splits public opinion, think tanks, political actors reject restrictive tendering. Also, graphic IDEC to whip up voter enthusiasm towards referendum. Center spread of the Daily Graphic newspaper now. Move to integrate nuclear into power mix on course. Ghana to host presidential dialogue on Africa beyond aid. Financial hardships, cost of LBGT activities. Quite revealing, maybe interesting. It says former President John Ajikun Kufuor has said the spread of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender activities in the country can be traced to financial hardships. He said population increase coupled with the inability of the economy to sustain life in many ways had led to hardships, as a result of which people tended to care more about survival than morality. The former president said this during a call on him by the leadership of the National Coalition for Proper Human Sexual Rights and Family Values to officially invite him to a national dialogue on LGBT in the country, scheduled for October 29 this year. The team, which was led by the executive secretary and spokesperson for the coalition, Mr. Moses Fuamoni, also included a former chairman of the Church of Pentecost, Apostle Dr. Opoku Onyina. Rest of the story in the center spread. Back page, YEA to employ 7,730 non-teaching staff for free senior high school program. Kumasi Central Market catches fire again. This is the second time this year that this has happened. The first time was on Good Friday, April 19, around the same Dr. Mensah area where this incident happened. And the cause of this one, well, they say they are still investigating, but the fire service suspect, because they said the area was full of electrical lines that were bare, meters that were overloaded, as well as an indiscriminate illegal connections. Let's do the Finder, the last paper for me. Front page, sword cutting for $135 million interchange to improve urban mobility in Accra. Upper East flood victims grateful for government support. NDC kicks against restrictive tender to select ECG concessionaire. In the meantime, we know per letter that we've spotted that government risk losing the $190 million tranche 2 of the Millennium Challenge multi-year financing in the power sector if it fails to meet a 30th October deadline to reinstate the PDS ECG deal. We'll have a full conversation on this right after sports this morning, Roland.
Yeah, let me do the custodian. The custodian has on the front page, Akufo-Addo starts $135 million Obechebi Lamte interchange. Has an inserted picture or an attached picture of the president breaking the ground, as the caption reads, for the construction of the Obechebi Lamte interchange. Just behind him is the Royal House Chapel boss. That's Reverend Sam Crunchy Ankra. You also have the road minister and others. Up there, we have Baumian consoles. Upper East flood victims were told just about yesterday morning or Monday morning when we brought you that story, that on Sunday when he visited, he donated 50,000 Ghana cedis for the upkeep, as well as, well, entreating NADMO, if not directing them, to make sure that the displays had the relief items supplied to them. Beside that, we have NDC chases Ken Amu over PDS deal. John Peter Amu. MPP also sets April 25 for presidential and parliamentary primaries. As an attached picture of the General Secretary of the party, the MPP, John Bwedu. Yeah, that's a good one. Let's go to the Daily Dispatch newspaper. It's the last one for me. And the main story there continues with the focus of how the various main contenders, especially the MPP and NDC contestants in the numerous or the 200 constituencies, are going to pitch camp. We're in 7th edition of this lookout or outlook, and it says Ningo Pram Pram. How will ET and George feud help MPP? The headline seems to be asking. It has an attached picture of Sam Nate George, the NDC MP and current parliamentary candidate for the NDC.
Did it help the NPP in the last election?
No, it didn't. Usually, I don't know whether it's right to say it. It doesn't. It's a stronghold of the NDC. So
ET and Sam George did not see eye to eye the last time around, but
there have been some constituencies in which sometimes the feuds tend to rub on the M. And I remember in the year 2000, it rubbed on the MPP in the Ashaman constituency when one went for independent. But now the votes gap has widened, so it becomes if you compare election year on year. Alex Mate, MPP candidate for Ningo Pram Pram, is also attached there. We have JDM review strategy for NDC's 2020 campaign, and Palmer's chief campaigner tips Amponsen to win the GFA presidential race. Talking about that, we have a conversation on the subject today about who is going to be tops when it comes to who becomes the president of the Ghana Football Association. There's a renewed vigor that the whole football fraternity seems to be having. That'll be it for now. I want us to take a look at some others.
Yeah, okay. So, later we'll be talking about PDS, so let's not spend too much time on that. But, the president is calling for focused leadership to transform West Africa. And, look, since Kwame Nkrumah, we've had leaders who have attempted to bring some manner of unity to the sub-region, and we've got ECOWAS, which is supposed to be some platform on which we all share a common cause and a common goal. But recently, when Nigeria closed their ports, it highlighted their borders. It highlighted once again the fact that, not only are we really not working together, but we can very easily work against each other when we want to. And so, the president's call for focused leadership in order to, transform West Africa is a correct call, but it is an echo. We've heard it over and over and over again. So it's not something that West African leaders don't understand. We need to start asking ourselves the question, why do West African leaders not want to work together to develop the sub-region? Why don't they want to do it? That's the critical question. And is it just the Francophone thing, where everybody points to the fact that France has so much control over the Francophone countries. And it doesn't suit the interest of France to, for example, not have all of these separate currencies, so that their franc remains the major currency for these nations. Is that it? Is that all there is to it? That Francophone nations don't want to work with Anglophone nations? Is that it? Because the Nigerian example doesn't point to anything, related to that. So what is it? What is that fundamental thing that makes the president of Nigeria not want to work with the president of Ghana, president of Benin not want to work with the president of Burkina Faso? What is it?
Well, at the end of the day, I think that in any sub-region there will be big players, and it looks like Nigeria seems to have the market. They will always want to bully, just like the way China does in Asia, and now is making footprints all around the world with its Belt and Road Initiative. So,
but being a big fish in a small pond won't help you survive in the sea. So we need to start thinking about how we can strengthen each other, strengthen the region, so that we can compete globally. Nobody's thinking about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's time for sports, isn't it? So much more coming up later, though.
The list for Ballon d'Or is out.
Yeah.
I think about how many Africans in there. Well, there's Mohamed Salah, there's Mane in there. Well, but
at least those are the two names.
7 people from Liverpool. Manchester City is 5. Manchester United.
Yeah, but we don't have Neymar and some.
Manchester
United. But we're also counting now because we have the GFA elections coming up on Friday. We have a conversation on that.
Yeah, we have a conversation
in detail. Yeah.
Swansea City is waiting for Manchester United to join
Swansea.
Yes.
And I think the Champions League is back today, right? Today is Tuesday.
Definitely.
So there's a lot to talk about in sport. What did you say, Swansea what?
City. Best team in the world. Really? We are waiting for Manchester United to join us.
Really?
In the
we're taking a break. Sports next.